Good afternoon, guys. It's dkrueger from DK Fitness, where we help people achieve their fitness and weight loss goals in a fun and sustainable way through optimized nutrition. And today I'm going to talk to you guys about keto. What is it? How do you use it? And is it even right for you? Those are questions that I get from a lot of new clients, so I figured we should share the wealth and talk about that in the video today, so you all can decide on your own whether or not a keto diet is right for you. So from a high level, it's pretty similar to a lot of other diets that have been out there in the past. Similar to the Atkins diet in that it's a low-carb diet, but there's a little bit more to it than that, and we're going to get into the details. Fundamentally, what a keto diet is it forces the body into a state of ketosis, which means that your body is using exclusively fat for energy as opposed to stored glycogen. The reason that your body does that is because you start to remove carbohydrates, which is what turns into glycogen in the body, from the equation. So once you remove that energy source, your body switches over to a new one, which is body fat. The fundamental principle of losing weight is still going to be there, and it's still going to be employed, and that is restricting your total caloric intake in an appropriate manner so that your body is forced to make up that energy deficit by way of another energy source, which is your body fat in this case. So that fundamental element is still there. You cannot overeat while on a keto diet and expect to lose weight. So keep that in mind. So why do people prefer to follow a keto diet as opposed to just a slightly reduced calorie diet that still has a balanced level of nutrients? One main reason is that when you remove carbohydrates from the equation, you stop having ebbs and flows of insulin. You're not getting those rushes of sugar into the blood, which is causing your body to produce insulin. And that is a very healthy thing from a general health perspective and from a weight loss perspective. It isn't necessary for most people to do that in order to see results, but a lot of people do appreciate the benefit that provides. When you're using fat exclusively for energy, it's much more stable and it's healthy, and it's how our bodies have evolved to process foods anyways. We'll get into the numbers in a little bit, but the principles followed in the ketogenic diet align very well with how we would have eaten before any kind of agricultural revolution. And from a very high level, you can think of insulin as your body's traffic director. Okay, that's the hormone that's responsible for telling nutrients where to go in the body. Specifically, insulin is the hormone that's responsible for dictating whether or not the carbohydrates you eat are stored in muscle for glycogen, which gets used for energy, or in fat cells. So the insulin factor in weight loss is huge, and that's why a lot of people love the ketogenic diet, because you are bringing your insulin levels down on a very long and sustained basis, and that's going to be great for fat loss. Also, that's going to be fantastic for natural growth hormone production. That's when your body produces growth hormone, is when insulin comes down. So putting yourself into that state for an extended period of time is going to provide benefits from natural growth hormone production. A lot of people look at growth hormone as kind of the hormone that keeps people young. It's going to help you in pretty much every aspect of fitness and wellness. So anything we can ever do to help promote growth hormone production in our body is always going to be a good thing, and that includes sleeping. Sleeping is the main time when people get the most of their growth hormone production is while you're sleeping. So getting good adequate sleep is definitely an important part as far as the growth hormone aspect is concerned. But those are kind of the general high-level reasons that people prefer a ketogenic diet over a moderately balanced approach. So specifically, how do you do the keto diet, right? What is it that you're actually doing day to day to be on a keto diet? Well, in order to force your body into ketosis, you're going to need to remove carbohydrates from the equation. If you have carbohydrates in your diet, your body's always going to prefer those as the energy source because it's quick and easy. So in order to get your body to switch over to exclusively using fat for energy, you're going to have to remove carbohydrates entirely. And that doesn't include all vegetables and things like that. It just means that you have to bring your carbohydrates down to about 30 or 25 grams of carbohydrates total for the day, which is mainly going to be coming from fibrous vegetables. The rest of your food, the rest of your calories are going to be coming largely from fat, and that's a big difference between other approaches that are low carb. In this case, we're going moderate to even low on the protein intake. It's going to be largely all a fat diet. So you're gonna be getting about 60% of your total calories from fat. And that means good fats. That means avocados and nuts and oils and things like that. So you're not going to be eating a ton of meat like most people do on traditional diets. You're going to be eating very few carbohydrates, so it's going to be a lot of salads with oils and avocados and things like that. Once you make the switch over to that, once you remove all of those starchy carbohydrates and switch over to that keto split where you've got moderate to low protein, high fats, and very, very, very low carbohydrates, you have to stay there for about 3 days before your body actually enters ketosis. And that's one of the downsides to this, is if you ever do go out on the town on the weekend, go out for a pasta dinner or something like that, it's gonna take you about 3 days to get back on track. And that's why I caution people who are thinking about approaching the keto diet, is it's something that you need to be able to stick to consistently to really appreciate the benefits. Some people it works out great for. They're already making all their food at home. They don't go out to eat a ton. It's not really gonna be a big change in that department. So for people like that, it might be a good choice, but for people who are gonna have 1 or 2 nights a week where they're gonna wanna go out and have something that's kind of an indulgence, the keto approach probably isn't the best way to do it, because you're gonna spend half your week just getting into ketosis, and then appreciating the benefits for 1 to 2 days. And then if you go on your cheat meal or whatever it is, then you're just gonna spend just another 3 days trying to get back into ketosis. So you're never gonna spend a real sustained amount of time in ketosis if you're gonna have the weekly cheat meals. So for those people, probably not the best one to consider. Another downside to keto is it's very common for people to get the keto flu. Where people have flu-like symptoms when their body is transitioning into ketosis. Some people can jump into it and they just feel fine. They might see a little dip in energy at first because they're used to those carbohydrates. Other people have some pretty negative effects, and they'll have body aches, these flu-like symptoms that make it kind of a miserable process. So for those people, it's definitely advantageous to stay in ketosis once you get there, as opposed to going through that transitionary period over and over again. And another downside to keto is, even though it works great, it's just tough to maintain in such a carbohydrate-infused culture that we live in. It's really healthy, but you're not at an advantage, at least in the Midwest where I'm located. Not that many. It's going to be tough to go out to restaurants. There's a few that you can do well at, and you can definitely make a lot of special requests. But in the Western culture, in the United States, and the Midwest in particular, it's not really the easiest spot. Try to stay on ketosis for a long period of time, so keep that in mind. And it does require a lot of sacrifice to stay on it. I think it's a great approach for people who are already living a very fixed lifestyle that's focused on fitness in their diet, and they're already doing that. But for other people, I usually suggest some other dieting techniques that might provide some of the same general health benefits, the weight loss benefits, and the insulin benefits that ketosis does, without going quite as far as the extreme and going into keto. Specifically, I'm talking about intermittent fasting. That's usually my recommendation for most people for several reasons. I'll make a separate video on intermittent fasting. What is it, how to use it, and what are the benefits? And we can kind of compare the two and contrast from there. One other downside to the keto diet is it does have a lot of immediate benefits. Specifically, you see the number on the scale drop right away that aren't entirely accurate. I'll put it that way. A lot of the weight that people see drop off in the first week or two on a keto diet is all water weight. If you're coming from a more balanced diet where you're eating carbohydrates, keep in mind that you're storing a lot of additional water from that diet. And as soon as you go into ketosis, you're going to see a large drop on the scale. Now that isn't body fat, and it's not necessarily progress, because as soon as you eat some carbohydrates, those pounds are going to come right back on. So keep that in mind. For every gram of carbohydrate you eat, you're storing 3.8 grams of water. So let's say someone was eating about 200 grams of carbohydrates every day. Multiply that by 3.8, that's a lot of water weight that's going to come off in the first week. So typically people are going to see large drops on the scale, and they're going to see maybe 10 pounds come off over the course of 7 to 10 days. And that's appealing for people who are trying to lose weight. But keep in mind, that isn't 10 pounds of body fat lost in 7 to 10 days. That's just fluid rebalancing in your body. So remember that once you get into it, you're probably going to progress at about the same pace as you would on most other dieting techniques. So it's not a magic diet, it's one of many styles out there for people. And I usually suggest if you're thinking about doing a keto diet because you like the benefits from an insulin perspective, you might want to look at intermittent fasting because it's something that's a little bit more versatile. It lets people go out on the weekend to have a cheat day, and it doesn't require really restricting calories, restricting carbohydrates per se, but you get the benefits, the insulin health benefits that you get from the keto diet without actually dropping a ton of carbohydrates. So I'm gonna make a separate video about intermittent fasting, and then you can kind of compare and contrast the two and decide which you think would be better for you. But I've got clients who do both. They both work. It just comes down to the individual's lifestyle and what works best for them. So I hope this video provided some value for you guys today. We're gonna be posting a lot more content as usual. And if you wanna see what we've posted in the past, cruise on by dkruegerfit.com. Check out all the videos we've got up there. You can also shoot me a message if you're interested in our one-on-one coaching that we provide, where we hold your hand every step of the way, walk you through whatever dieting technique it is that you think would be best, put together a customized program just for you. Shoot a message to dkrueger@dkruegerfit.com if that sounds like something you might be interested in, and I'll see you guys in the next video.